Let's start at the beginning. With the end of World War I, this dictated peace, as they called it, created a deep well of resentment that extremists, politicians like Adolf Hitler would later exploit with devastating effect. By the mid-1930s, Hitler was openly violating the Treaty of Versailles. He rebuilt the German army, reoccupied the Rhineland, and made his expansionist ambitions clear. The response from Britain and France was not confrontation, but appeasement. Leaders like British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain believed they could satisfy Hitler's demands to avoid another war. They were haunted by the memory of World War I and desperately wanted peace. The climax of appeasement came in 1938 with the Munich Agreement. Hitler demanded the Sudetenland, a German-speaking region of Czechoslovakia. Britain and France, without even consulting the Czechoslovaks, agreed to his demands. Chamberlain returned to London waving a piece of paper, famously declaring peace for our time. But he hadn't achieved peace. He had just bought a little more time at someone else's expense. Winston Churchill furiously called it a total and unmitigated defeat. He was right. Appeasement was a catastrophic miscalculation. It was based on a fundamental misunderstanding of Hitler's true goals. He wasn't a traditional statesman who could be satisfied with territorial gains. His ambition was limitless domination. By giving in, the Allies not only strengthened Hitler's position at home and gave him more resources, but they also showed him that they lacked the will to fight. Every concession just made him bolder, pushing him to demand more. While the Western powers were appeasing Hitler, another fatal mistake was brewing in the East. For years, the Soviet Union under Joseph Stalin had been deeply suspicious of the capitalist West. Stalin watched as Britain and France appeased Hitler, and he grew convinced they were trying to point German aggression eastward, towards his own country. He feared being drawn into a war with Germany, while the West stood by and watched. So, in a move that stunned the world, Stalin made his own cynical deal. In August 1939, the Nazis and the Soviets signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Publicly, it was a non-aggression treaty. Secretly, it contained a protocol to carve up Poland and other parts of Eastern Europe between them. This was the ultimate act of political opportunism. For Hitler, it was a green light. The pact removed the threat of a two-front war, which had been Germany's nightmare in World War I. He now knew he could invade Poland without facing immediate opposition from the Soviet Union. Just 1 week after the pact was signed, German tanks rolled into Poland. The final peace was in place, and World War II had begun. Looking back, we see a domino effect of mistakes. The punitive Treaty of Versailles created the grievance. The weak League of Nations failed to enforce the peace. The policy of appeasement emboldened the aggressor, and the cynical Nazi-Soviet pact removed the final obstacle to war. Each step made the next one more likely, and the path to conflict narrower. So, could it have been avoided? It's impossible to say for sure, but there were clear turning points. What if the Treaty of Versailles had focused on reconstruction instead of punishment? What if the United States had joined the League of Nations and given it teeth? What if the Allies had stood up to Hitler over the Rhineland or Czechoslovakia when he was still relatively weak? These aren't just what-ifs. They are vital questions that show how political decisions, or the lack of them, have real-world consequences that can shape the destiny of millions. The story of how World War II began isn't a tale of inevitability. It's a tragic story of human error, fear, and a catastrophic failure of leadership. Thank you for watching. If you found this deep dive into history interesting, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. We love hearing from you, so leave a comment below with your thoughts on this topic. See you next time.